Hi, this is the court reporter. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Kayla, I can hear you.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Good to go too. Al's good to go.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, great. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is a public hearing on PNM's current rate case, which is case number 22-00270 UT at the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission, or the PRC. My name is Jim Ellison. I'm one of the commissioners at the PRC. I'm joined here by Commissioner Gabriel Aguilera, and I will introduce the rest of the PRC team in just a moment. PNM in this rate case application is asking the commission to approve a variety of requests that would impact retail customer rates. A summary of those requests are a revision of rates to allow a non-fuel revenue requirement of $791 million per year, which is an increase of about $64 million, or about 8% over the current non-fuel revenue requirement. Fuel is covered separately. The recovery of about $600 million of net changes to the rate base for investments and increased operating costs. Also, the removal of the San Juan generating station investments, which are currently in the rate base, to reflect the plant's abandonment pursuant to the Energy Transition Act. Also, the removal of costs for 114 megawatts of lease capacity at the Palo Verde Nuclear Station, due to the fact that those leases have expired. The recovery of about $45 million in energy storage system costs. Those investments were made to replace the San Juan units that were retired, as well as the expired Palo Verde leases. Also, they are requesting adjustments to depreciation rates for their gas-fired units due to the fact that PNM plans to transition to carbon-free generation by 2040. Also, PNM is requesting an adjustment of their allowed return on equity from approximately 9.6% to 10.25%. They are also requesting a commission determination that their prior decision to continue as a participant in the Four Corners power plant was prudent. This is a complicated case. There are other issues to consider. There are some issues stemming from PNM's request to abandon some of the Palo Verde leases. This is a holdover from a prior case in which it was stated that issues not resolved then would be resolved in a future case, which is this one. One issue is around whether P&M should be denied recovery of future decommissioning expenses. Another deals with whether their decisions to renew the leases expose ratepayers to additional financial liability. Another issue is whether P&M's fuel and purchased power cost adjustment clause should be reapproved as it is, or whether a review of what costs are passed through that should be evaluated. There is also the matter of the San Juan generating station rate credit issue. This is a fairly recent development. The parties have recently proposed in an appeal before the New Mexico Supreme Court a settlement that would resolve the San Juan generating station rate credit matters. However, this issue is still outstanding because the Supreme Court first has to decide whether to remand or return the case to the PRC. And if the case is returned, then the commission would be able to decide on whether to accept the settlements that the parties are proposing in this case. Some general information: this hearing is not evidence in the case and is a forum for the public to express their views to the commission. The fact that it's not evidence does not mean that it's not important. It is important. It helps to alert us to areas that we may not have been aware of or have been focusing on, and that would in turn allow us to establish evidence in those areas. The public evidentiary hearing, and that's where P&M's witnesses will testify and they will be cross-examined, will begin on September 5th and is scheduled to last through September 22nd. And that would occur every day, every weekday, starting from September 5th. The public is able to watch these hearings on YouTube through the commission's website. After these evidentiary hearings are concluded, the parties will file legal briefs based on the evidence. The hearing examiner at the PRC will issue a recommended decision. The parties can file exceptions to that decision, and then the commission will reach a final decision on the merits of P&M's application, and that decision is expected or really required by January 4th, 2024. I'd like to introduce some of the rest of the PRC team who are here today. Judith Amer is an attorney with the PRC and an advisor to the commission. Scott Cameron is our general counsel. Robert Lundeen is with the Office of General Counsel. Jennifer Baca is executive assistant with the Office of Commissioners. Miguel Lujan is our head of IT, and Patrick Rodriguez is our press information officer. I'd like to invite any of the parties to this case, including P&M, to please introduce yourselves.
You, Commissioner Olson. I'm Mark Fenton, I'm the Executive Director of Regulatory Policy and Case Management at PNM.
I can't hear him.
I'm Mark Fenton, I'm the Executive Director of Regulatory Policy and Case Management at PNM. And with me today is our Vice President of Regulatory, my boss, Henry Monroy. He's also our VP and Corporate Controller. And also with me is Dr. Renee Huber.
You guys, I can't hear him. It's mumbled.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot to say other than, this is public comment, so we're not going to get into the evidentiary record. The hearing starts on September 5th with our witnesses will be present. But what I did want to say is we really appreciate the commission setting up the public comment hearings. We're in attendance today because we like to hear what the customers are saying and get the perspective of the customers. So this is the second public comment hearing that was held. We were at the first one. It was kind of not attended that well. So I'm glad to see there's a lot of people here, and I understand there's a lot on Zoom. So we're looking forward to your comments today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fenton. Are there any other parties or attorneys of the parties online that care to introduce themselves? Seeing none, let's talk about the public comment procedure. So for those of you on Zoom, when you complete your comment, please exit the Zoom meeting and watch the YouTube feed. I do believe, Mr. Rodriguez, that's available through the PRC website.
That is correct.
That's right. And for those of you who are in the room here today, please ensure that you've signed up. We are asking for a minute and 30 seconds of speaking time for each person. If that amount of time is insufficient to express your views and concerns, we would encourage you to submit an electronic filing with your comments to prc.records@state.nm.us, including the docket number for this case, which is 22-00270-UT. You're also free to sign up at one of our regular open meetings to make comments. We will alternate between in-person and video conference speakers. I think we have quite a bit more on Zoom than in the room, but I think we'll try maybe 5 people and then we'll alternate. I would ask that you speak slowly and clearly. We do have a court reporter who is transcribing what is being said. And so if you're on Zoom and it's your turn to speak, please do unmute, state your full name and any group affiliation. I'd like to ask Commissioner Aguilera if he has any comments.
I just want to thank everybody who came out and the people who signed up on Zoom. This, as Commissioner Allison explained, this is a big case and it does affect the rates that you all pay. And that's why you're here. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I will also note that I'm sure you've received some emails from the public and I have as well, and those will go into the public record as well. So thank you again for your interest.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. With that, I'll stop sharing the screen. Let's see. Mr. Rodriguez, shall we start out with maybe 5 people from the room, or we transition to Zoom?
Yes, Commissioner. And for those who are wishing to provide comment on Zoom, I will call out your name in the order in which I received the invite request. So I will start with, and forgive me if I mess up any names here. Danny and Riley, are you on?
Yes, I am. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, Danny, we can. Go ahead.
I'm not affiliated with anyone. I just want to know what the rates are going to be.
That's a question we can't answer at this point, Mr. Riley. That depends on the outcome of all the issues in this case.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. That's the only comment that I have.
Thank you for your comment. I'm just gonna take the people in the room and then switch to Zoom. Oh, I apologize. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Shall we start with the folks in the room who would like to start, and we can maybe take 5 people and transition.
My name is Gordon West. I'm from Burlington, New Mexico. I have submitted on August 1st in the first meeting by getting online to discuss this matter of PNM's rate increase being reviewed. And I suggested that because no one is discussing the profits that they already have. They're supported by the federal government, by the state of New Mexico, and by the customer. And they continually have raised rates on New Mexico families that are extremely not in our best interest in the future for developing this state and its purpose to grow. I am reporting that my situation as a solar customer, as I have been an interconnect customer since 2015, I have had 3 meters replaced where the production has been past the 99,999 kilowatt hours that a meter can result in after you produce. And each time they are in wow that my system is running backwards. And they say that that is impossible for that to happen. So that's the short story. There's proof in their own documents on all of my bills for the entire time that they do not accept in the electronic system the values from the meter reader. The meter reader is honest. I see him in my driveway. He reports the truth. I take pictures. I upload those pictures. And the only way I can get my values corrected with PNM system is when I finally get to a billing person and they resolve it, only because I keep calling for 3 or 4 days. It is unfair. It is unbelievable what I've paid in enormous bills over $2,000 multiple times. And PNM should be investigated for that problem because I'm not the only solar customer that has the problem. I'd like more time and I will sign up for it.
Can I get the spelling of his name, please? I didn't hear that. I can't hear you, sir.
Gordon, Gordon West.
Good afternoon. Thank you for making an opportunity for the public to speak. I think a lot of us got very late notice of it, but we all knew it was coming because the notice went out in December originally. So I have some things prepared, but I wish I was more prepared. My name is Maureen, M-A-U-R-E-E-N, Lisi McCready. That's L-I-S as in Sam I hyphen capital M-A-C capital R-E-A-D-Y. That's a lot. Okay, so nearly 25% of all New Mexicans utilize PNM services. PNM is not our New Mexico public utility. We don't have one. PNM is a publicly traded company. Well, actually, that's not true either. They're a division of PNM Resources, which owns PNM and TNMP, and they are publicly claiming on their website, we are committed to serving the best interests of our shareholders, not the public, not the customers who pay for everything, but the investors, people with enough money to purchase stocks and bonds. Effectively, the last rate increase was not so long ago. By instituting the time of use rates, the majority of New Mexico customers have seen an increase in their bills because the only benefit derived is if you don't sleep and use it from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and don't use an electric appliance from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. But consumers are paying for additional desired projects as riders on our bills. The riders on our current bill, and I am assuming that they are the same for everyone, are an additional 36% increase. And then we add on our 7.625 tax, which I'm fine with the tax, but that means an increase of 9.7% increases on every line item because those riders are based on our kilowatt per hour usage as well. Those riders aren't constant. It is estimated in 2031 that the additional rider for renewable energy will be $192 per month per customer. I also believe it's imperative that we see the result of the pending lawsuit over the merger stipulation denial currently before our New Mexico Supreme Court, with arguments scheduled for beginning September 15th. Before deciding this increase, since PNM includes the merger expenses as well in their financial reports.
I'm sorry, ma'am, if you could please conclude your comments or.
I will write them up. And I would hope that we have more time for comments in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Can I give her my time?
If you like.
You can have my time. You sure? Yeah.
Okay,
So PNM is a very robust company, PNM Resources specifically. But they operate very differently in Texas. In Texas, they're not a utility company anymore. They actually only transport electricity and distribute it. And the reason is clear. In Texas, they've created a consortium of energy providers from which Texas residents have an opportunity to choose the rate they choose and who's giving them their service for that electricity. So they don't do what they do in New Mexico in Texas anymore. Additionally, they're looking at a reinvestment structure to which this gentleman already spoke. So I'm an independent contractor with a business and a realtor. I have to show tangible product for an increase in pay. I suggest we hold PNM to that standard prior to paying off their investors more than their current 25.9% profits year over year in the last 5 of 6 quarters, to say nothing of the fact that at the end of second quarter 2023, they're showing $100 million in profitability right now. So my feeling is this: I think that PNM is absolutely allowed to make money. I think that New Mexico residents shouldn't have to be going broke while they participate. I mean, PNM participates in selling energy to other states, which does make them money, which is great, but also charging us for the infrastructure to hold that energy. Then they take the profits of that, and it does not equate dollar for dollar back to consumers of New Mexico. And that is the end of my comments.
thank you very much for your comments.
You can move them back to there.
We'll take 2 more comments from folks in the room, and then we'll alternate to Zoom. Who else would like to make a comment?
But not yet.
Not yet? Okay, that's fine. If nobody is ready just yet, let's go ahead and switch to Zoom.
Okay. All right, I will, when I call out your name, please unmute. Is there Ann Maines? Corey Bryant? Tom Howard. Kristen Kipp. Rod O'Brien.
Maybe we'll just take people that you see on the screen there and. Go that way.
How about Ray Allen Smith?
Hello. My name is Ray Ellen Smith, Rayellen Smith. I am the president of Indivisible Albuquerque. Thank you, commissioners and Chair Ellison. The rate setting process is very complicated for average people. Imprudent investments, rate credits, and return on equity for shareholders are not kitchen table topics. Paying my electric bill is a kitchen table topic. As a retired widow living on Social Security and some savings, it's important that we get this right for us, the ratepayers. I want to focus my time on the ROE, return on equity proposal. Based on all the other rate requests that you went over, Chair Ellison, it would seem to me that these requests would certainly cover any monetary risks involved in these investments. ROE is a guaranteed profit margin that I pay for. I get that there needs to be a profit margin to cover off risks from the investments as well as allow a shareholder payment. However, from what I understand, the risks on many of these investments have indeed gone down or are covered by all of the other rate increases. The fact that with the combined general business risk also seems to me to indicate that a decrease should be put in place rather than an increase. I think the ROE is even now too high and should be no more than around 9%. I do hope that you will accept the settlements in the San Juan Generating Station rate case once the Supreme Court brings this back to you. And I just want to end with PNM is a profits business to make money for shareholders while holding us hostage to pay it since few other choices are available. Please keep the kitchen tables in mind when deciding the rate case and make our rates decrease, not increase. We pay enough now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Another one, Commissioner. We have Barbara Wiser. Elaine Semino.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. My name's Elaine Chimino, Elaine Cimino, Director of Common Ground Rising. I am concerned about the financial burden this race case may place on low income and fixed income residents of New Mexico. This rate increase will impact those who are already facing financial hardships and making difficult choices between essentials like food and medicine. Here's how it can impact them. Higher utility bills on families already struggling, limits discretionary income, limits essential funds for food, medicine, and healthcare, forces people into energy poverty. There are implications from delayed skipped medications, medical treatments, and making trade-offs. Economic inequality increases disproportionately, and social services are strained, and this rate increase may place additional strain on social services and nonprofits. The PRC must carefully consider the consequences of approving the PNM's requested increase in ROE by addressing the affordability and fairness of any rate changes and explore options to mitigate the impact on those who are most financially vulnerable without relying on corporate welfare to subsidize PNM profits. PNM indeed made decisions without conducting the proper financial analysis, and this has led to adverse consequences, including their folly of heavily investing in coal. The Four Corners plant should not be included in the rate base, and I support the new energy economy position on this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, how about Lori's, center?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lori, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Lori Zunner, Laurie Zunner. I'm a homeowner in Albuquerque. And as a ratepayer who prudently invested in rooftop solar, I urge the commission to hold PNM accountable for its imprudent continued investments in the Four Corners Power Plant and the Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station, which have proved costly to ratepayers. PNM made these investments without the required cost and resource alternatives analysis. The commission cannot pass on the cost of these imprudent investments to ratepayers, and so should not grant PNM this undeserved rate increase, nor an increase on its return on equity. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, how about Chili Yazzie?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Chili Yazzie. I'm here in Shiprock, New Mexico. I am a grandpa. I am a farmer. I am a earth defender. The earth has sustained considerable, tremendous damage from extractive energy, so much so that it has altered the environment that we are translating as the climate change today. I also speak on behalf of our farmers, our indigenous farmers, other farmers along the San Juan River. I understand that the contaminated waste that comes out of the former or the Four Corners plant is up to 4.2 million gallons of discharge every day into the no name wash, as well as the Chaco River, which both eventually empty into the San Juan River, where we draw our irrigation water. It's obvious that this kind of discharge is going to have an impact on the quality of our irrigation water. I speak on behalf of our grandchildren, my grandchildren, as well as your grandchildren, all grandchildren. Is it not obvious? Is it not clear the kind of future that we are leaving them? They will suffer the brunt of our rapid and inconsiderate exploitation of the earth that we see around the world today. Do we not care enough for the welfare of the grandchildren to begin taking substantive measures to cut back on the damage that is being done to the earth? I want my grandchildren someday to say that I spoke up on their behalf. Do you not wish that your grandchildren will say that also of you, rather than to say that you are partly responsible for the trials and tribulations, the hardships that they suffer? I plead with the PRC to do what it must do. I stand with the positions that the new energy position has made on this issue. I thank you for the time.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Desmond. Maybe one more from.
Sure. David Smith. How about David Gay?
Hi, I'm a homeowner in Albuquerque. This is David Gay, last name spelled G-A-Y. I have solar panels on the roof and used to get a check under the REC program from PNM. That ended, but it seems to me that when I produce more power than I consume, I should be paid a fraction of what PNM has to pay for other sources of power, instead of being paid nothing. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Gay, for your comment. Do we have anyone else in the room who would like to make a comment?
Thank you. It's good to be here. My name is Elizabeth West. I live at 318 7th Street in Santa Fe, and I drove down here because I'm coming to visit a friend of mine, a historian who's in a nursing home down here. And I have a feeling he's going to be glad that I'm speaking up on behalf of what we're all trying to talk about here. Let's see. I don't know where the camera is, but I want to wave to anybody who's looking. I want to say, thank you, Mr. Yazzie, Chili Yazzie, for your comments. My mother-in-law, years and years ago, taught in Noschidi, Tohatchi, and also in Shiprock. Her name was Mildred West. Maybe you were one of her students one of these days. I love what you said. It was absolutely right. I'm a grandmother too. I don't have my notes. Can you pause it?
And their cameras right there.
That's the camera?
Yeah, how old is the camera?
Oh my God, AI is gonna take over. We're all starting to talk like AI. But no, I'm back. I got excited about listening to everybody talking. Thank you for your comments. And those of you who have gone the effort and are fortunate enough to be able to have solar stuff on your house, I really hope you to be able to do that. Can't do it quite yet. I actually am thrilled about moving over to more electricity and away from gas. I'm one of those people. But I sometimes think the oil and gas company is tricky. But that doesn't mean everything that PNM is doing is wonderful. I made a note saying the raising rates finally got my attention. They raised my involvement. One of the things I do like that I'm hearing is the idea of pilot, the time of use pilot rate. I would encourage pursuing that. I want to be positive, you can see. I would hope that we do this sooner rather than later, and it's not just a decorative something or other. I also want as many people included in benefits as possible. So that I'm curious why there are limitations put on some of the public involvement that you all are working with. I'm also curious about why the choice to not get out of the Four Corners area. To what Mr. Yazzie said, I need to study this more. I will get more involved. And I'm sorry, I'll just talk you to death, but I don't feel as if PNM has really been straight up with us. My last comment is that you cannot have real consensus without disagreement. If everybody agrees, then there is no need for consensus. And if everyone agrees, it's a little bit suspect, isn't it? So if everybody at PNM, if all of you wonderful people here, and thank you to Patrick, are you Patrick? Thank you for writing back to me and saying, yes, at the last minute, you can come here. I'm kind of curious if each of you here is in complete agreement with what PNM is doing, or can we sometimes hear about the possibility of agreements being made, of discussions being held by you all? I'm very interested in that. I think it's important. And I'd like to have an answer to that before I turn 80. And, you know I look like I'm only 16, but it's coming soon. Joking aside, I hope you hear what I'm basically saying. There's some positive stuff happening. But quite frankly, not enough. And the rate increase has got me very curious about what you guys are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for your comments, yes. You know, we're getting into a lot of interesting, you know, observations. I would ask folks to keep to our time limit as much as possible. We're obviously not gonna cut anyone off mid-sentence, but you know, we do have quite a few people on Zoom, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak before the meeting's over. Would anyone else from the room like to say a word?
I give you my time, is it okay?
You can have it.
So my name is Rebecca Rowlands. I am not rich, I'm not a millionaire, and it looks like the only people who are gonna be able to pay the PNM is gonna be rich millionaires. There's a lot of social media, Facebook, in my area and next door, and people are going, oh my God, my bill is in the thousands. It's more than a mortgage. And if paying your electricity bill is more than the mortgage, gonna run into an issue at some point. Because like I said, a lot of people live in, a lot of people are paycheck to paycheck, and it's just gonna be a thing where they're probably gonna not be able to pay, and then lose their house, and then there'll be more homeless over in Albuquerque or wherever. And it's just really concerning for people who are just paying, and we don't really see anything other than the electricity we're actually using, which of course we're paying for that and this and something else, and we're not really sure, what we're getting out of it, and we're selling the bill. And it's just pretty much simple as that, so. So. For those who are just regular people, it's a hardship for people raising the rates for shelters. Thank you.
Can I get your last name, please?
Oh, yeah. Prellwitz. Prellwitz.
Hi, my name is Sally Dyer, Dyer. I'm much like these people in this room, trying to make a living, take care of my family, and pay attention to what's going on with PNM, among many other things going on in the world. So in trying to pay attention, it was my understanding that part of the rate increase had to do with the infrastructure of the electric vehicles. Sitting here listening to this, I'm realizing that there's all kinds of things going on with PNM that I haven't educated myself on, and I need to do that, because I don't know if that's another increase that's going to come after this increase, or if that's wrapped up into this increase. But I'm concerned with that as well, because there's only 2% of New Mexicans driving electric vehicles, but we're all going to pay for that infrastructure. I can't afford a $60,000 car. And I expect that most New Mexicans can't. So not only can we not afford that car, but we're going to pay for that infrastructure, and then ultimately be pushed out of the car that we're already driving that we can't afford. And I'm concerned also with possibilities of rolling blackouts like they have in California. I got the notice about the power savers, and that just sounds like to me putting us on notice that those rolling blackouts are coming. And when it does come, I'm worried about it, because those electric vehicles are going to take more electricity, and electricity is fueled by the fossil fuels that we're supposedly trying to get off of. And when those blackouts come, we obviously can't just fire up the San Juan generating station because it's being decommissioned and demolished. I just want you guys, and I think everybody in here wants you guys to just know that you are going to be accountable for poverty rate increase in New Mexico, because we can't afford the bills that are coming in. And we need that electricity, right? For all the things in our life, including serious medical conditions that electricity powers, the devices and the medication for. I just feel like, the increase that all of it is just to the elites become richer. It takes away our freedoms to choose, and ultimately it's bringing us one step closer to the 15-minute cities, which, make no mistake, are actually 15-minute prisons. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Dyer. Let's see, let's take one more person from the room and then let's switch back to Zoom.
Good afternoon. My name is Mohammed Abdulhak. That's MUHAMED ABDELHACK. And I work in an industry that gets to benefit directly from the frustrations of customers, PNM customers, when they experience rate increases. I am witness to their frustrations almost every day when the rates do go up. And it's understandable that rates will increase. Everything, the cost of everything increases. And if rates have to increase, I would much like to see the benefit of that increase put towards initiatives like a better, stronger infrastructure, more access to electricity in rural areas, no, there was one more. Green initiatives as well, because we are hopefully stepping away from fossil fuel type generation to more cleaner initiatives, and to see that expand would be terrific through initiatives that maybe the utility is working on currently. Also, rather than rate increases, hopefully rate increases can be a last resort. Rather than rate increases, I would love to see the utility maybe increase their profits or increase revenues through efficiency improvement and cleaning up operational waste. All companies can streamline a little bit more and make their operations more efficient. And I think PNM, as one of the largest employers in the state, obviously deserves to pay their people well, a family living wage. But with that large of a workforce, I'm sure there are ways that they can be a little bit more efficient in their operations to maybe save costs that way as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Abdulhak.
Thank you, Mr. Abdulhak, for your comments. Mr. Rodriguez, let's switch back to our commenters on Zoom.
Of course. How about Xavier Barraza?
Hello, am I legible? Can you all hear me?
Yes, Xavier, can hear you.
Excellent. My name is Xavier Barraza. I work with Los Jardines Institute. That's LOSJARDINES Institute. First of all, thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Chair, for taking the public comment. Going to try not to duplicate comments here in agreement with so many of the public comments that have been made. First and foremost, I really like what Mohammed just said earlier, which is it's pretty astounding in an era where Louisiana is having unprecedented fires. We had unprecedented fires. The ocean is bubbling in Florida. We have hurricanes happening in areas that have never happened before. To hear that there's just room for profit in an era like this is incredible. And especially if there is room for any type of gain, that gain isn't immediately integrated back into our energy system to make it more efficient, more reliable, more safe, and less hazardous, and more prepared for our future. So I think that's just astounding to hear that, right? And where those resources are going. We absolutely stand as Los Jardines Institute. We do work here locally on a state level, on a national level, and we are in absolute standing with New Energy Economy stance and the pieces that have been raised before. there should be a decrease in rates. And more importantly, I think the point we wanted to touch on as an organization who's been engaging with power issues and with P&M issues for decades is really asking the question around, can you all hear me?
Yes, it's
Oh, apologies, it was cutting out my service. A real understanding around why has P&M been so defensive to competition? And I think the solar example and the reimbursement rates was an example. There are countless examples of showing fragility and a fragile competitor and an inability to really handle the energy situation without blocking community-based or other forms of energy providers. So I think that says it all, that P&M and their interests have made it so hard for us to find alternatives to receive, to produce, distribute, and utilize our energy in the state. And I think that speaks most loudly, we think that speaks most loudly to their ability to do their job and their ability to meet our needs, both here locally and on a statewide level. So thank you, and we stand with New Energy Economy stance.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, how about Toby Charlie King? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, Toby.
Hello, my name is Toby Charlie King. I'm from Whitehorse Lake, New Mexico, on the Navajo Reservation near the Greater Chaco region. Growing up here, my family has seen more heavy equipment for oil and coal plants than any other equipment needed to build what the surrounding community actually needs. My family, including a lot of other families, have been heavily impacted by the negative effects these plants have created. As a young person living in New Mexico, it has been difficult to pay the utilities needed to live sustainably. Due to P&M's recent rate hikes, I urge you not to go forth with P&M's division and stand with those who have been displaced by these environmental injustices. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, next I have Nicole Miasis-Olanovich.
Thank you so much, Chair and members of our Public Regulation Commission. My name is Nicole Miasis-Olanovich, and my family has roots to New Mexico predating statehood. I live in the South Valley of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm a combat veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom 2004. I served my country and became ill, and now I'm disabled. My 1-year-old daughter is on Medicaid and WIC benefits since we are below the poverty line. P&M's offsets and rate hikes should be denied for several reasons. First and foremost, P&M has made record profits this year, yet wants to offset poor business decisions and depreciated assets onto impacted folks like myself. Enough is enough. In addition, a 10% increase for me would have been almost $40 this month. And as a disabled veteran and mother, that's milk, diapers, or gas. 3, I cannot afford inflation that is brought on by bad business deals outside of my personal doing or benefit. 4, this sets a precedence for this kind of behavior, mass buying and offsetting of depreciated assets for monetary gain, for P&M to maximize profits before our 2050 transition. 5, how is it that P&M is so poor it needs to offset bad deals on us, but so profitable it wants to be sold to Avangrid for gain? In sum, please do what is right. Do not approve this rate hike offset onto the average person like myself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, next, how about Benedict Lopez?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Enedith Lopez, and I am giving comment as the official spokesperson of Youth United for Climate Crisis Action in my role as a policy campaign manager for the youth-led organization. Yucca has thousands of members and supporters around the state, many whom are low-income P&M ratepayers. We are in strong opposition to P&M's proposal to increase electricity rates by 9.7%. The rate increase will negatively impact frontline and low-income families, and we do not believe P&M has met its burden of proof, especially since this proposal includes hundreds of millions of dollars of cost recovery for imprudent expenditures. Very recently, we experienced the We experienced the extremes of the climate crisis in New Mexico with record heat waves, which forced folks to use more energy to ensure their survival. PNM is taking advantage of the climate crisis and increasing their rates by putting more folks at risk of displacement as people juggle rising cost of living, while the company actively contributes to the climate crisis by using coal and toxic nuclear power, which are contaminating our air, lands, and water. Our community should not have to pick between their own survival or paying a bill that has been inflated to bring greater profit to executives and shareholders who made risky business decisions, but refuse to take responsibility for their imprudence. This is why we have regulators, to hold profit-motivated corporations accountable by applying the standards of the law and protecting the public interest. On behalf of YACA and the thousands of ratepayers who are part of our organization, I urge you to reject this application for an increased rate to cover PNM's imprudent coal and nuclear investments and the increased return on equity. We must end our dependence on dirty fossil fuels and extraction and hold utility monopolies like PNM accountable. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And next, how about Nodiah Brent?
My name is Nadia Brent, Nodiah, last name Brent. First, I want to thank everybody who made it possible for us to get together today. And I have to say, I'm so impressed with the speakers, everybody speaking from the heart. And I know that you've been at this a long time, a lot of you organizers. I want to say that I've heard from Indigenous persons and also many women. The anxiety level is off the charts because we can actually feel the denigration of this environment in our own bodies. We are the canaries in the coal mine. There will come a time when what we have to say is taken very seriously. I hope that time is now. We have to make a change. PNM has made underwhelming inroads in clean energy and a just transition. Unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Keep going on Zoom.
Let's see, is there anyone else in the room who would like to make a comment? Not at this time. Let's do some more folks in Zoom.
Okay. Destiny Krupnick.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Destiny, go ahead.
Cool. So my name is Destiny Krupnick, DESTARUPK. I'm 20 years old, and today I stand before you to shed light on a deeply concerning issue to me. It affects the lives of individuals in our community and myself. As we discuss the potential increase in PNM utilities, it is imperative to understand the gravity of its impact on those of us who are already struggling to make ends meet. For the past 3 months of this summer, I have been homeless and struggled to find a place to live that was reasonable and within my budget. It was one of the most stressful periods of my life. I had spent the week up to becoming homeless, in and out of the hospitals, urgent care, and the ER due to health complications. I was unable to work or make the money that was needed for me to find a housing accommodations. Since then, I have moved on to trying to get social services and different community organizers support and to help me find housing that I can afford. Every system is overworked, overwhelmed, and out of support to give. For those of us experiencing homelessness or living on low income, the challenges we face are numerous and overwhelming. Finding affordable housing is an ongoing struggle, and even when there's a roof over my head that is secured, a financial burden can be heavy. Now, in the face of that hardship, the proposed utility fee increase by PNM poses a significant threat to my well-being. My financial stability is already precarious, with every dollar carefully allocated towards necessities like food, rent, and healthcare. Any additional financial burden, especially higher utilities, is a blow that could push me back out onto the streets. It's a reality that me and many others cannot bear. When the very systems that are designed to offer support and assistance lack the funds to help, I'm left feeling abandoned and trapped in a cycle of economic uncertainty. Raising the utilities when we are already struggling to pay them is will only exacerbate our challenge, making it even more difficult for me to escape the clutches of poverty. I understand the need for utilities to cover their costs, but not because of a bad business decision that wasn't my responsibility. We are your neighbors, your community members, and we deserve to hear our voices and heard and acknowledged over the shareholders and the money and the income of a company. The proposed utility fee increase threatens to plunge us further into financial distress, perpetuating the cycle of poverty and hindering our ability to improve our situation. As we discuss the future of utilities fees, please remember the faces and stories behind these statistics, and remember that each decision made today will have far-reaching consequences for those of us who are already on the margins. Please understand that this is an advocacy for solutions to uplift everyone, regardless of their economic circumstances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
And how about Mary Ann Isis?
Yes, thank you. Dear PRC commissioners and hearing examiner, my name is Mary Ann Maestas, and today I'm here to give public comment on behalf of Santa Fe Mutual Aid. The Santa Fe Mutual Aid Network is a neighbor-to-neighbor aid network with hundreds of members, primarily from Santa Fe County, though we also have members in Rio Arriba and San Miguel County. The vast majority of our members are PNM customers. Most of our members are also low-income workers and families who have been hit hardest by the pandemic, as they were essential workers and faced higher rates of exposure. We oppose this unfair increase in rates, which will impact low-income and working-class people due to PNM's imprudence. Even a slight increase in rates will impact households' budgets, while we are already dealing with the pandemic's ongoing negative impacts, a housing crisis, and inflated foods and goods. We oppose PNM's desire to increase the rate of return on equity, which will just hurt our members and ratepayers across the state for years to come. We ask that you don't make working class people pay for PNM's mistakes and poor decision making. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your comments.
Okay, well, Lori Costello.
Hi, my name is Lori, Lauri, last name Costello, Costello. I'm a medical doctor and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. As a physician, I'm deeply concerned about the health effects of fossil fuel extraction and usage, which go beyond the health effects of greenhouse gas emissions and resulting climate change. Coal is dangerous to human health along its entire life cycle, from extraction to usage. Mercury from the smokestacks of coal-fired power plants ends up in fish and ultimately in humans. Mercury harms the developing brain in children, infants, and fetuses, potentially causing loss of IQ as well as other nervous system impacts. It also has respiratory and cardiac effects in adults. Health and environmental effects of coal usage were known when PNM made the decision to remain an owner of Four Corners in 2016. It is unconscionable to allow PMN to recover the financial costs of their poor decision from customers. The commission should protect ratepayers from the $270 million that PNM is seeking, and in addition require PNM to do a just transition to an early closure of Four Corners rather than simply walk away from their costly mistake. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And next, Sharon, are you right?
Yes, thank you, Chair and members of the PRC. Sharon Argenbright, I'm a mother, a grandmother, a nurse, an educator, retired Air Force officer. Who would have imagined the pandemic would be eclipsed in human devastation by a world climate crisis? In the words of American economist Milton Friedman, Only a crisis produces real change. Actions taken after depend on the ideas that are floating around. An idea floating around is for a just transition. Naomi Klein's plank number 5, which is the polluter pays. New Mexicans should not have to pay for PNM's investment in dirty energy. The 5 planks also include energy democracy, front lines first, care work is climate work, no worker left behind. We are ready to fight for a better future. Plank number 5 is the polluter pays. For a just transition and to close the gap between rich and poor, I ask you please deny any wage increases to PNM. I'm with New Energy Economy, Yucca, and all the other environmental protectors. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, how about Glenn? Wickle?
Yeah, it's Weichel, W-I-K-L-E. Thank you, commissioners, for this opportunity to provide public comment. I'm a power systems engineer, and I'm also a PNM customer. The people of New Mexico have granted PNM a special privilege to operate as the sole source of electricity in much of the state. In exchange for that special privilege, PNM is required to take special care. Yeah, it's Weichel, W-I-K-L-E. Oh, we have a echo? Thank you, commissioners, for this opportunity to provide public comment. I'm a power systems engineer, and I'm also a PNM customer. I'm hearing myself back delayed. PNM a special privilege to operate as the sole source of electricity in much of the state.
Glenn?
Yeah.
You're on the YouTube and the Zoom at the same time. So you have to stop the YouTube if that's happening.
I'm sorry, but I'm not on the YouTube. Oh, I don't know.
Someone is, it might have been Sharon. Yeah, so Patrick had stated that when you guys are done to join the YouTube, you can't be on the Zoom and the YouTube at the same time, otherwise you're going to be behind on the sound. And then you also have to mute your mic.
Who's speaking, please?
This is BIT for PRC.
Thank you.
Okay, can I continue without the echo now? Yes. In exchange for the special privilege of having a monopoly, PNM is required to take special care to ensure that its decisions keep electricity costs for my neighbors and I as low as possible, with the constraints of earning an approved rate of return. This requires PNM to conduct due diligence on our behalf prior to making decisions which impact our rates. In the case of improvements to the Four Corners plant, it is clear that PNM's due diligence was incomplete, and PNM could have exited their Four Corners contract in 2016. Because of this imprudence, it's not fair to allow PNM to charge my neighbors and I for the costs of that uneconomical investment. I ask the PRC to hold ratepayers harmless and transfer the costs of this poor decision to the PNM shareholders. Also, when approving PNM's new return on equity, please keep in mind the low risk that PNM gets through all its riders and PNM's historically high profits earned at the current rate of return. The current rate of return seems quite sufficient. And one last thing, please do whatever you can to kick PNM's fossil fuel habit. Chili's grandchildren, your grandchildren, my grandchildren will all tell you it's killing our planet. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, how about Vicky Gottlieb? Vicky, are you there?
Yes, I'll be right there now. Okay. My name is Vicky Gottlieb. G-O-T-T-L-I-E as in every, B as in boy. As an individual ratepayer, I'm appalled that PNM has been able to burden us with rates that include their imprudent 2016 Palo Verde lease repurchase, plus at least $95 million since then for leases that are no longer used nor useful. and their faulty analysis that led to extending the life of their Four Corners plant. This investment must be found imprudent. PNM shareholders, ratepayers, and the health of those in the plant's vicinity would have been better served if it had been closed and replaced with cheaper, 100% renewable energy sources. Please hold ratepayers harmless for any investments made in the plant after 2016, deny PNM repayment of all future costs on those investments, and remove future capital expenses and profit from rates. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
In person.
Sure. Is there anyone here with us in the room who would like to make a comment? They're not supposed to, the PNM folks are not supposed to. Let's keep going with folks on Zoom.
Okay, Rachel Wiley.
Hi, yes, my name is Rachel Wiley. I am a homeowner in Albuquerque and a PNM customer. And first, I really appreciate the fact that the grid has held up this very long, hot summer. But as far as increasing rates, my 79-year-old fixed income widowed mother keeps her central air thermostat set to 78 degrees all summer long. She covers registers in her rooms that she's not in much to keep the AC from cooling those rooms so that it focuses on her main living areas. Even still, her bill went from just under $100 in July to $271 in August. I recognize the summer has been exceptionally hot for an extended period of time, but again, at 78 degrees, this bill should not be this high. Increasing rates any higher will be detrimental to her, both financially as well as physically, since she's already being forced to decide whether to raise her home temperature to higher than 80 degrees and get groceries, or go without food in order to not get sick from excessive heat. This, in my opinion, is tantamount to elder abuse. In reviewing both of our bills, Block 2 usage, the more expensive rate, was identical to Block 1 in August, whereas in July it was only 1/10 of the usage. Lastly, in listening to others' comments, it seems this information I pulled may not be correct or it might be misleading, but I'll state this nonetheless. In Googling information on this rate hike, it said the proposal is for, quote, to cover costs sustained in the utilities transition to renewable energy and modern technology. Is there any guarantee in writing that once this transition has taken place, we will see rates decrease? And if so, what is the percentage and the timeline expected for that decrease? Without those answers at this time, we are opposed to a hike. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
Veronica.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Veronica, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Yang, also known as Veronica. I come from the Diné Nation in the Four Corners region. I am currently a PNM ratepayer who pays the utility bills for my household. Millions of young ratepayers like myself throughout PNM territory are currently working paycheck to paycheck, depending on government assistance and also going to school. While the company's proposal for a $13 a month rate increase might not seem like a lot to PNM executives, making millions of dollars a year for ratepayers like us, those costs add up, and it's important that any rate increase proposal be fully justified. In the case of PNM's proposal, it is not. We live in a world where many communities do not have electricity, but we have oil and gas rigs in our backyards, causing many of our community members to relocate to cities where we continue to be displaced by high rent and utility rates. Coming from the reservation near Farmington, I have seen coal power plants and nuclear waste negatively impact our traditional homelands, from dump sites to chemical pools to deserted oil and gas pumps and wells. I've also seen the devastating impacts from the residue it leaves on Mother Earth. I've seen these impacts it leaves on the community as well. And the Four Corners power plant was in my backyard growing up, along with the charcoal plant. I had to breathe in the dirty air, and my family's health has been affected by that dirty plant pollution for the last 50 years. PNM had no business reinvesting in the Four Corners power plant, but they should have explored cleaner alternatives, and they should have invested in a just transition. Instead, they sacrificed their health to maximize their profit for a plant that breaks down all the time. And instead, they also refuse to listen to local communities. We need to hold them accountable and ensure PNM does not make us pay for their poor investments. I asked the commission to deny their application and require the company to absorb the cost of the coal and nuclear that they should be evaluated. I also asked the commission to deny their request for a greater return on equity. It's already not fair that it's guaranteed return of rate at a level they have already. An increase would be a corporate welfare. To close, I want to return to what I started with, a reminder that tens of thousands of New Mexicans in PNM territory like me are unable to pay our bills, and we already can't afford our utility bills. We need you to protect us against unnecessary rate hikes like this one being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And next, Susan Selvin.
Hello, my name is Susan Selvin. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I didn't get a response. Can you hear me? I unmuted.
We can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Susan Selvin, SUSAN, SEL, B as in boy, IN. I'm retired and own my home in Albuquerque. I'm fortunate to have a pension from my previous employer and Social Security, so I'm okay. I installed solar panels on my home about 7 years ago. I own a 2018 Volt, which charges about 60 miles now, less as it gets older. So that usually serves all my driving needs in Albuquerque. I like to say my car runs on the sun. So I pay $8.70 to the grid, except for the 3 darker months of the year. So again, I'm fortunate. Prior to COVID, I chaired 3 film festivals to raise awareness of climate change. And I think now everybody recognizes it's here. We need to move away from fossil fuels. I love our New Mexico, but I hate that we still rely on fossil fuels. We have the sun, we have wind. New Mexico must move to renewable energy soonest. I ask that you reject the $10 rate proposed. $8 is okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Selvin, for your comments.
How about Marissa Russell?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, commissioners and hearing examiner. My name is Marissa Russell, and I am Danette from the Four Corners region. Though I live in Albuquerque at this time, and I am a PNM ratepayer. I am also a member of Yucca Youth United Climate for Crisis Action, a member-based youth-led environmental and climate justice organization here in New Mexico with thousands of members and supporters across the state. First of all, PNM should not even be charging ratepayers for their own mistakes. In 2012, they had the decision to transition away from coal, but they decided not to. And because of that, the environment and communities have suffered. In 2017, they reinvested nearly $1 billion back into this FCPP. And now 7 years later, we ratepayers have to deal with the consequences. In today's society, the minimum wage is $12 an hour. That's not a reliable income to live on nowadays. It would take a person 2 or 3 jobs to keep up with their payments, even with governmental assistance. Lots of people are still struggling to pay their bills. Young adults like myself are trying to manage college, working, and paying bills. And now PNM is considering charging customers a higher return of equity. Lots of families already have to decide between having to pay their bills or eating, which is ridiculous. PNM should be held accountable and deal with the consequences of their actions and not rely on low-income households to pay for their horrible decisions. I urge you to reject the proposed rate increase and hold PNM to the law. The company should bear the consequences of their imprudent investments in Four Corners and Palo Verde, and they should not be given any increase in the rate of return. If anything, the percentage should be reduced to reflect a greater balance between the interests of shareholders and rights of ratepayers to fair rates. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, how about Sophia?
Hi, can you hear me?
A little louder, Sophia.
Is this better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Sophia Jenkins Nieto, and I'm the Environmental Justice Coordinator for Earth Care, a community-based environmental justice organization on Santa Fe's South Side with thousands of members and supporters. As an organization, we are here on behalf of our members in opposition to the rate increase proposal from PNM. Nuclear energy and coal energy are investments that we should not be making during a time of climate crisis. When PNM made the investments they were trying to charge us for, the science, the economics, and the standards of the law, which require an evaluation of all feasible alternatives and preference for environmentally responsive resources, should have prevented PNM from reinvesting in Four Corners and from renewing their leases at Palo Verde. But PNM had no respect for the law, for the environment, or for the rights of ratepayers. To ask regular consumers who need electricity to pay for this misled investment is an injustice. We knew then and we know now that we need to be investing in clean renewable energy, not dragging on the legacy of fossil fuels, which has only harmed our communities. This proposal brings harm to New Mexicans and PNM customers by making us pay for the bad investments made by PNM. Earth Care stands in firm opposition to this proposal, and we urge you to deny the application. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
How about Peggy Baker?
I'm here. Okay, I'm not sure how all these things work. Yeah, are you hearing me?
Yes, they are.
Okay, great. My name is Peggy Baker, spelled exactly like it sounds, Peggybaker, and I represent Rio Arriba Concerned Citizens, based out of Abiquiu, New Mexico, and serving the interests of environmental justice in Rio Arriba County. And the first thing, I haven't heard anybody else point this out. First of all, the hearing is held through a hearing examiner, which is appointed by PRC, and PRC clearly has its responsibility primarily to act in the public interest and not in PNM interests. So I think that's kind of part of the root cause of this problem. And I agree with the points that have been brought up numerous times, that the imprudent investments in coal, Four Corners coal, and in the Palo Verde leases were ruled by New Mexico Supreme Courts twice, that the PNM ratepayers must be held harmless. Yet rate increases proposed at least partially reflect illegal burden to the PNM customers due to their imprudent decisions. So it seems already decided that this rate increase, if it's to the extent it's based on paying for future risks and decommissioning, should already be basis for turning down the rate increase. And furthermore, I think it's probably not out of the realm of interest to note that the PRC commissioners used to be elected. Now they are appointed and no longer are held accountable to reporting to anybody except the will of the governor. And there is no other oversight. So again, I question the ability of the PRC to do impartial regulation of the utility company PNM. So I urge you on behalf of myself and the Rio Arriba Concerned Citizens to categorically reject this rate increase request. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your comments.
Eleanor Smith.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Eleanor, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Eleanor Smith, Eleanor Smith. I lived in the Four Corners area. I am Dine from the Four Corners area. Lived here my whole life. We've lived in Shiprock, New Mexico for over 40 years, raised our 6 children there, and most of them now live in Farmington, Shiprock, and other Four Corners communities. We have been detrimentally impacted by the power plants in these areas. We have multi-generational health issues. My late mother-in-law died from cancer, as well as numerous relatives. Our siblings, ourselves, and our children have asthma. My husband has chronic COPD and has never smoked cigarettes. Although the power plants don't want to accept responsibility for these health impacts, these are all common health conditions of people who live within the Four Corners area. And regarding the rates, I am not in agreement with the PNM rate increase proposal. Fixed rates should be lower and families should be incentivized to use energy at low demand times. For PNM to increase the fixed charge on customers who are trying to conserve energy and save money at a time when families are struggling to make ends meet demonstrates poor judgment and an insensitive consideration of its customers. Raising the service charge is also unfair to solar customers and increases energy burdens. The PRC's role should be to represent the public interest, which should be to support truly clean, renewable, and sustainable energy, rather than perpetuating the deadly fossil fuel industry. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, Ron Perry.
Yes, thank you. My name is Ronald Perry. Last name is spelled P-A-R-R-Y. I live in Silver City, New Mexico, and I'm a residential PNM customer. I'm opposed to PNM's effort to recoup $270 million by charging its customers higher rates. It appears that PNM used a faulty economic analysis as the basis for its decision to support another 15 years of operation for the Four Corners power plant. The PNM ratepayers should not be held responsible for PNM's poor judgment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And I believe that is everyone on Zoom. If I missed your name, please let me know right now.
Is there anyone else in the room who would like to make a comment? If there are no further comments, I would like to thank everyone for your participation in this public comment hearing. Your thoughts and concerns are important to us. We have taken note, we have listened, and we thank you for your participation today. We do encourage you to tune in to the evidentiary hearing of this PNM rate case starting on September the 5th, and that link to the YouTube will be on the PRC website. If you're interested in obtaining documents, you can register to have access to our e-docket system, and you will find plenty of documents there with witness testimony and other information if you're so inclined. So thank you to our court reporter, Ms. Eubanks, and thanks to everyone from the PRC team and the public for participating. Thank you.
Can you explain how to sign up for additional voice and communication at this time?
How to sign up for additional,
Additional communication, because a minute and 30 seconds, I obey both times.
I see.
But I sent you guys personally a copy of the email I sent on August 1st. And I only want to establish the truth, and it's in their records. They're doing what these people are talking about. So how do we get there that I get a meeting?
So
PNM won't allow me.
For addition, well, let me just say this, for additional time for public comment, we have our public meetings every other week. The next one's going to be September 7th. You could contact Mr. Rodriguez a day ahead and let him know that you'd like to make a public comment. Generally, we have 3 minutes of time that's allocated to each speaker who makes public comments at our open hearings. If you have a specific complaint, I would counsel you to contact Mr. David Martinez at the PRC, and he can help you formulate your complaint in a way that can be acted on.
David Martinez.
Yes.
All meetings held here?
No, the meetings are hybrid. They are in our offices in Santa Fe, and we always have a Zoom option as well.
Right, so your next meeting is gonna be in
September 7th in Santa Fe, 142 West Palace Avenue, the Bochum building is what we call it. So, great. Thanks again to everyone for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the court reporter. Before we go off, I was just curious if somebody could write down my email address to send me a copy of everyone who attended today. Just whoever you wrote down was in attendance. Like the people who were present live that spoke.
Here, let's see, Jennifer, would you mind helping out with that? Because we do have that sign-in sheet here. So Jennifer Baca will send you an email.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And again, I would advise you to speak with Mr.